they asked me what my nationality was. And I told them I was black. And just as I said it, this guy, African guy, was walking by, and they was like, "No, he's black." And I was like, "No, no, no." I said, "No, no, no. I'm African American." And they was like, "You're not African." I was like, "I didn't say African. I said African American." And all they could hear was African. And they were like, "You're not African." So I said, "All right, well, what would you say that I am?" You know what they said? They said, "We say that you're white."
Hey, welcome to Travel Tuesdays Happy Hour, where we interview dope people doing dope things. Today, I have an awesome guest for you guys. My man, can you please tell us who you are and what do you do?
Okay, my name is, excuse me, my name is Walter Joppy, and right now I'm actually retired from, I used to work for Johnson & Johnson. I was there for 21 years, and I worked in quality assurance, and I did a lot of traveling with my job there at J&J. So right now I'm retired, and I wish that we didn't have this whole COVID going on, because that was my plan in retirement, to just do a lot of traveling. So some of those plans have been put on hold.
So prior to COVID, how was retirement going for you?
I was going pretty good. One of the things I really wanted to do in retirement was play golf, but I hurt my back and wrestling my son. And so shouldn't have done it, because he was lifting weights all day, and I was at work, lifting pencils. So that was a bad.
Look, it gets like that sometimes. That moment when we thought you can keep taking him, and you just realize, you know what, I'm gonna call it a day.
Yeah, I had to finally come to that realization. So it took me a long time and a hurt back, but and I planned to travel. So me and my wife were doing a lot of traveling right before COVID hit. Actually, before COVID hit, in January and February, we were on cruises in January and February.
Oh, and
we just got off a cruise at the beginning of March, and then as soon as we got off, COVID hit.
Oh, wow. So what got you into traveling in the first place, right? You look like you're a seasoned man. So in your early 1800s, I'm just joking. In your earlier days, what really got you into traveling?
Yeah, actually, the first time I traveled was I was in 7th grade. Inner city kid, and we had a Spanish teacher, Miss Silva, and she scheduled a trip to Spain and France, and
nice.
And my parents let me go, and so I went to Spain and France when I was in 7th grade. The thing I remember most about it was we went to this this mountain area, and some gypsies were in caves, and they were dancing and singing and stuff, and they gave us something to drink, and I was about 12 years old, so I thought it was apple juice. I go and slam it down. It's like whiskey. I'm like, who gets 12-year-olds?
Hey, look, there's no age limits when you go overseas. So. Oh
yeah, so over there they gave young people alcohol, and I wasn't aware of that. So, but
yeah. So from what I understand it, there's a different ideology, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Ideology is around it is the earlier you expose them to certain things, the more responsible they are later down in life.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But
absolutely.
No matter where you are, if you're if you're predetermined to be not predetermined or predisposed to have an addictive personality, those are things that you can't necessarily control.
Right.
But for those that aren't, it's they've been sipping wine since they're like 10, 12 years old. And to them it's normal, but to us, we go to their culture and we look at it as bad. But to them, they're like, y'all crazy. That's why y'all kids get drunk and sneak it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There was very out and open. They passed it around, and I spit it out, and my friend was like, "I'll take it."
Okay.
So I gave it to my friend.
So you mentioned you was on a cruise from January and February. Where did you guys go?
We went to Mexico. We We went to St. John's and St. Thomas another time.
Nice,
So,
nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really
And
nice.
so in your travels since you said 7th grade?
Yeah, 7th grade. And then when I was in 12th grade, I went on my first cruise.
Oh,
It was a
nice.
graduation gift. My grandmother ran trips through the church. And one of the trips she ran was a cruise. And so I was graduating from high school, and my dad gave it to me as a graduation gift. And so I went on a cruise to Bermuda. It was beautiful.
So from then to now, what would you say was kind of your most memorable trip?
Then till now?
Yeah.
One of my most memorable trips was a trip that I took to Indonesia. It was about 20 years ago, but I went to Indonesia. And what really struck me about it was one of the poorest places I've ever seen, but the people were very, very like happy, and they did jobs that were like, I mean, manual labor, seriously, almost like slave labor. And they seemed happy. They had nothing. I mean, they were living in huts with no running water, no electricity. And
so what about the trip made it so memorable?
I think it gave me an understanding of how much we have here, because I didn't know what poor was. Because I grew up in the inner city, so I thought I was poor growing up. But I saw poor like I've never seen. You know, where people are getting water out of a river that's like infested, and they're taking the water out, and that's the water they're going to use to clean with, eat with, and right across from it was people living in mansions right across the river. And the thing I was complaining about at the time, I was looking for a house, and me and my wife were looking for a house, and I was complaining about bathrooms. So the bathroom, not the first bathroom, the second, the half bathroom, I don't like the wallpaper. And that's my biggest complaint.
Wow.
And so that really that trip really opened up my eyes to what poverty is and how privileged we are here in the U.S. You know, it's not perfect. We got a lot of issues, you know, with social justice and things like that. But it's still, we have a lot of stuff here that other people don't have. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you visit these countries, a lot of times, and to your point, you know, my first trip was to Haiti as a child. And my parents weren't really ones with means. So, you know, you think of Haiti, you think of like the poorest country in the world, but it's rich in culture. It's rich in love. But at the same time, like my dad had a house built, but we didn't have any running water or electricity. So to your point, I had family members getting water out the closest river just so that we could wash our hands with. And it was an interesting experience, you know, a 6-year-old not being able to open up the fridge and grab a juice out the refrigerator. Right. It gave me a different perspective of life as a child. Like, you know, it was kind of growing up a threat. If you don't do good in school, I'm gonna send you to Haiti. You know what I mean? So it was pretty interesting. Oh yeah. I mean, you ask any Caribbean child, the biggest threat is I'm gonna send you to your grandma in such and such name country here. But yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of that sounds like it gave you a different perspective in life, right? It allowed, like you said, you appreciated the little things that we have here.
Even when I traveled to Europe quite a bit, and they're like trying to get on in the evening or on the weekend, trying to get like some milk or something like that. Everything's closed early, and we're used to. I can go if I want to go grocery shopping at midnight or 2 a.m. I can do that here, but in Europe, everything closes I get back at 5 o'clock. Everything's closed. It's
that work-life balance. They've somehow figured it out.
Oh yeah, exactly. And if you don't have your stuff by 5 o'clock, shame on you.
So with that said, what what makes you like desire to travel more and more? Because I mean, sounds like you guys, COVID kind of locked you down a little bit, in being able to do some traveling, you and your wife. You know, what keeps you guys excited outside of I ain't got to go to work no more because you are retired?
Yeah, I just enjoy experiencing new places, different people, getting different perspectives on life. And like I said, like you were just describing, you go to Haiti. Um, you said you guys and didn't have running water and things like that, but everybody was happy. You know, and that's what I found when I was in Indonesia. The people were happy. So just going and getting different perspectives and just seeing different things. And the other thing I really like is getting out of this cold weather. As soon as the weather turns cold, I'm ready to go Caribbean right away, immediately.
Okay.
We did do a cruise to Europe as well.
Okay.
Not to Europe, we flew to Europe.
Which one?
We flew to Barcelona. We did Royal Caribbean.
Ah, nice.
Like Monaco. We went to, I don't even remember all the places we went, but we went to a couple places in Europe. We went to Rome was one place. Another place in Italy. I don't remember what it was, but we did that European cruise. It was very nice. The only thing about doing the cruise is you don't really get to see, because they show you kind of a port.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a tour or something like that, but that's about it. You're only there for a day, so you don't really get a chance to experience like if you go there.
It's at least so I look at cruises as like a tasting board, right?
Right,
like
flavor, right?
Yeah, for flavor. So like it's like a was this one of those meat trays, right? Where you can taste each different type of salami and cheese, and you can kind of figure out which ones you want to go back to get more of, versus making a whole meal out of one location. I actually did the MSC cruise that did the Mediterranean. So it's similar, out of Barcelona, France, Italy, and Malta, and then back. I actually did that in February. So yeah, I definitely feel you. What I did do though, I took advantage of all the fresh fish foods that were along the coastal lines. That was definitely a great experience. But with that said,
you know what we found there? Porgies.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't called porgies. It was called sea bream or something like that. But we found porgies because I told my wife, I was like, "Oh, that looks like a porgy." And
how was it?
Oh, it was delicious, and it wasn't fried. We fry it, here in the U.S. We fry it, but they had it baked. I mean, it was delicious with seasonings. It was really. It was in Mediterranean restaurants, and one was in France and one was in Italy.
Well, that goes to show you, not all white people not season their food.
Right. No, if you go to, I found this. I went to China. Mm-hmm. Ever since I've been to China, I won't eat Chinese food here because they actually season the food with real seasoning, and it didn't taste anything like the food here.
Okay. So, do you have a bucket list of places you still want to see, or are you just kind of like, you know what, let's just throw a dart on the map?
I do have my one bucket list is Africa. I have not been to Africa. I've been to every other place except for Africa.
Okay. Like anywhere in particular, or you just want to just hit the continent and keep it going?
Well, one place I want to go to is my son-in-law is from Sierra Leone, so I want to go to Sierra Leone.
Nice.
They plan on going sometime in the near future, and I'd like to have a chance to go because that would be an opportunity to go with somebody who actually knows someone versus, a stab in the dark.
Yeah, going as a tourist is interesting, yet you don't depending if you have a guide when you get there. One, it's language barrier, culture barrier, and then two, just getting around. They can spot a tourist from a mile away. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, where something that costs you $1, normally it'll cost you $5 because they know you're a tourist. And once again, not just that, but going to the more culturally focused area versus just the the social based locations.
Mm.
But with that being said, you mentioned earlier about social justice and things that are going on. Like, what are your current thoughts of what's going on in America today, right? One of the best and worst things to happen is COVID. And the best thing about that is it's caused us to slow down and pay attention to what's going on. Not just here, but if you notice what goes on here kind of radiates around the world. All right. So first question I want to ask is, from your visit as a child to your visit now, have you ever felt kind of discriminated against being a Black man overseas? And has it overt, or maybe you just never experienced it?
You know what? The only place overseas that I really overtly experienced that was in Puerto Rico, where somebody called me the N-word.
Wow.
It felt like I cut them off in traffic. And traffic there is crazy. I don't know. Have you ever been to Puerto Rico?
I have not. That's on my list. I was supposed to go this year and it got canceled. So
yeah, there's this one avenue in San Juan where like 6 lanes come into like 2. And it's just crazy trying to get in. And I guess the guy felt like I cut him off. And he was real close. I had my window down. He had his window down. And he called me the N-word. But interestingly enough, traveling overseas, it gave me also a different perspective on how people see race. Because when I was in Indonesia, I keep going back there, but that was one of the places where I had kind of an awakening a little bit. But
sound like you got stories you want to tell about Indonesia and you're holding back.
So I'm there, and I had a shirt on that had Martin Luther King on the front of it. So they were asking me, "Is that your father?" I was like, "No, that's not my father." But they asked me what my nationality was, and I told them I was Black. And just as I said it, this African guy was walking by, and they was like, "No, he's Black." And I was like, "No, no, no." I said, "No. I'm African American." And they was like, "You're not African." I was like, "I didn't say African. I said African American." And all they could hear was African. And they were like, "You're not African." So I said, "All right, well, what would you say that I am?" You know what they said? They said, "We say that you're white." And I was like, I'm about to hit somebody, So and then when I looked at them, they were all darker than me.
Right. So yeah, that is different.
Yeah, and I was like, wow. I was like, no, I'm not. It's like I'm African American, Black African American. I don't know what else to tell you, but that was their perspective. And in other places, Europe seems to be more accepting of, African Americans. I've never really felt. I felt it mostly here, to be honest with you. Strongly.
So let's talk about that, right? As far as being here, I'm happy. This is a good segue. It sounds like you are more accepted being Black or white in Indonesia, but accepted for being a person of color overseas versus being here a person of color. You know what I mean? And it's kind of weird because you're home, you don't feel safe, but you travel abroad, and I'm not gonna say you feel the safest, but you feel more accepted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't feel like people don't even have any clue, because I used to travel to Mexico or to Spanish-speaking countries, Venezuela, and people would come up to me and start speaking Spanish because they thought I was Spanish. So I blend in a lot of places. So it didn't, I didn't feel out of place, to be honest with you.
So, like I was saying earlier with COVID, like, what about the current times, the social tension, the racial tension today that you feel like made things so, lack of a better term, inflamed, right? Like it's been going on, but it's worse now because literally the world has no choice but to sit and watch. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, one of my biggest challenges is I live in a neighborhood that has no diversity. I've been in this neighborhood, and for 21 years. And one time there's been another Black couple here. That's been it, out of like 150 homes. Not another African-American family in 21 years.
Hmm.
So it was a challenge for my son in the in high school and things like that because lack of diversity. So it's been front and center. Okay. When I walk around, I see the signs everywhere.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I tell you, what got me was the most was after the George Floyd incident, his murder, the number of "We support the police" signs that went up in my neighborhood. And I got to be honest with you, I took that very personally.
Mm. And these are people that, I mean, once, and maybe I'm assuming here, over the last 20 years, you guys visited, talked, exchanged maybe, lawnmower stuff, the typical house owner stuff amongst the community? Or have you always been kind of alienated amongst the community?
Yeah, it's only been the people next door. That's been pretty much about it. We've had interaction with the people on either side of us. That's it.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then one other couple, young couple, recently. But
so they pretty much showed you their colors for the past 20 years. It's just exacerbated now.
To me, the signs are what really exacerbated for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest challenge. Just seeing the signs when they came up, and it was the timing of the signs.
Mm.
It was really the timing.
Wow.
If they were up at any other time, it's like, hey, we support the police. It's great. But
that's definitely telling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
it shows where we are. It shows where we are as a country, because we have the biggest challenge we have. And I got to be honest with you, this has been something that's been with me for a long time. I went to a inner city high school. I grew up in Harrisburg. I went to inner city high school, and the program I was in, that's how I wound up going to Spain. I was in a program for basically for gifted kids, and the teachers took the kids that they thought were the smart or said were the smartest and put them in a group. But in a school that was 90% Black, you know what that program was? It was 90% white.
Mm.
And I was one of the few African Americans that happened to be in that program. So
wow.
So the white kids in the school were getting a good education, and the Black kids weren't. Very few were in that program and that's who they saw were smart. Because the people picked for that program were selected by the teachers, which our teachers were also predominantly white.
That's also telling, right? And you mentioned earlier that like I said, to get to this point, it took us to sit down and settle down and pay attention. You mentioned
Absolutely.
You were just getting off of a cruise when COVID hit, right? So once COVID hit, like, how did you guys react? How did you guys adjust?
Yeah, so pretty much we did what everybody else did. We quarantined. Well, I should say quarantine, but we kind of isolated and stayed away from, people outside of our own inner little circle. It was me, my wife, and then my grandchildren, my daughter, and my son-in-law. But recently, be honest with you, I just got back from a trip from Florida, because my son lives in Florida. So we drove down 3 weeks ago. We drove down, and took us 3 days because it's a long drive. So we broke it up into 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, we're both getting pretty old, so that's a long drive. And then we flew back, and surprisingly, the flight was packed. not an empty seat.
Oh yeah, I mean, as soon as they opened up, I mean, right now there are people traveling to Mexico, Aruba, you name it. I think my first flight post, I guess, lockdown was to Arizona. That flight was cool because that's when they were like mandating one person, like a space between people.
The space
on
between, right? Yeah.
Fast forward another month, I was on American and all the seats were jam packed. People were kind of like sardines in the plane, and you can see the difference in people coming on the plane and all of that stuff. So yeah, I definitely I saw the difference in how people were moving around.
I flew first class because the tickets were so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
One way on in coach was like $49 on American from Florida to Philly.
Hey, this is time to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and then first class was like $250. So I was like, to get away from being in like sardines, you got bigger seats and it's two of you by yourself. So we decided to do that to get some isolation.
Yeah, that's amazing. So so from that to now, how are you guys adjusting now? Outside is slowly opening up, so they say, right? And then we're going into high cases, low cases, high cases. How are you guys adjusting with things? I mean, luckily for you, you're retired, so there's no worried about losing your job, right? Mm-hmm. But how are you getting back to your new normal?
So yeah, one of the things that we did when we were in Florida, which was we went out to eat a couple times. We didn't eat indoors. We ate outside on the. They had like outdoor seating, so
mm-hmm.
So we had an opportunity to go to restaurants because that was the first time we've been to a restaurant since lockdown. I think we went like 4 times to out to eat. So and we plan to continue moving out forward as long as things don't get crazy. We're watching the numbers to see how things go. Obviously, and if things get crazy, we'll, isolate a little more. As long as things are moving in a good direction, keep moving forward. Because we have, I have a trip planned in probably January to go back to Florida.
Nice.
I can't stand the cold, man. Fort Lauderdale.
Oh yeah. I don't blame you, bro. Like, I'm planning a trip down to Atlanta shortly. So, for me, it's just a matter of, where can I go to be warm enough, but not so far south that I'm in Florida. So Georgia works out for me. But you bring me to a good segue. When deciding that you're about to travel, like, what are your go-to tips to getting ready, right? Some people were like, just go. If you can save. Some people are like, don't wait on friends. So when you're planning your trip, like, what are, like, let's say the top 3 things that you would recommend somebody that's planning on traveling to do?
Yeah, my first thing is I'm looking for deals because if I can get a good deal, like for example, flying $49 on a plane trip to Florida. I mean, when will you get a $89 round trip from Philly to Florida? I mean, that's so what you could do is, because you could buy the ticket now, and for a trip later on, to say, all right, in 3 months I'm going to take this trip, and they're only charging $89. So look for deals. So that's my number one thing: look for deals, because then you can get more for your money and get more trips out of it. Mm-hmm. Number 2, I like to look for places that, look to go to places you've never been before, because, some people keep going back to the same places over and over. So I always look for, hey, what's some new adventures I can get myself into? And number 3, I agree. I don't wait on other people, because I waited for other people and, missed out on some beautiful trips. And if other people aren't ready, just go. We were doing a family cruise, and some people just weren't ready to cruise just before everything hit. But we were doing a big one for like a family reunion cruise.
Mm-hmm.
And some people were down and some people weren't. And it's like, okay, people that are down are going to go. And then maybe next time after everybody sees the fun that you had, then they'll want to join. They'll want to join in.
Yep. They're gonna kick themselves like, oh man, y'all did that.
Right.
See, and that's why I capture the moments, because especially for when people like, oh, I can't afford it, I can't go. You're like, look, this is what you missed out on. Not to gloat, but I think a lot of times people see traveling more of a unrealistic to them, or unattainable, and that's when they kind of hold themselves back from being really able to experience traveling. But yeah, man. What is one place that you visited that you just said, I won't go back?
I won't go back to. One place I really didn't like that much is Germany. And I just could not find a good meal in Germany. And I've been there I've been there 5 times. And
okay.
I mean,
you couldn't do it a good brat, bratwurst.
Everything is just heavy and nasty and gamey. They give you a menu, it's got ostrich and stuff like that on. It's like, yeah, I just want a hamburger. That's all I want. Give me a steak. And everything is very, very heavy. And they use, instead of butter, they use lard, like as a spread. And it's like, this is like my grandmother's old grease can.
Hey, man, we got it from somewhere. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much for doing this. I hope it wasn't too much of a hassle.
No, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. It gave me a chance to reminisce on some things, some kind of deep, others more light fare. So I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, man. And that's what it's all about, is giving us, in a time of lockdown, giving us a chance to kind of reminisce on the good times that we've had, being able to travel, being able to be outside. And, I know you got more stories locked up in you, so I might have to come back. And pull some stories out of you. But
that's good.
you see, but with that said, once again, I do appreciate you jumping on and really taking the time out